This week, the Film Place hosts the premiere of the documentary film Louis and the Restaurant. We went to Milton Keynes to meet filmmaker and director Roger Stotesbury to talk about the project. What is Jump Off the Screen all about?
Jump Off the Screen is a small video production company based in Milton Keynes. We've got some great clients and I think we punch above our weight. And we've built over the last 4 years, I think, quite a strong reputation for making effective videos.
You've recently done your own project film, Louis and the Restaurant. So what's that film about?
It's a film about the new restaurant that's opened in Buckingham called Nelson Street, but our film is called Louis and the Restaurant. And it really follows this 23-year-old lad through 6 months of his life as he sets up his first restaurant. And it's a big venture for him. And when they started, they weren't sure if it was going to be successful or not. And we follow his journey. And it's created a few waves in Buckingham because it was slightly controversial, the restaurant being there. There was a lot of opposition from the neighbours, and we show their side of the story, we show his side of the story, and we follow it through. And the filming finished about 2 weeks ago.
What inspired you to make this film?
Party. And this couple introduced themselves to me, and they said, we're paying for our son to set up this restaurant. And then I read about it a little bit in the paper because a lot of the neighbours were very annoyed about this restaurant being set up in a residential street. And so I was, I suppose, reminded of that conversation, reminded of meeting this couple. And then when I bumped into them a couple of months later, we just got chatting about it, and we thought it would be a good idea for me to start filming. And then I just kept filming. Just kept filming for 6 months.
And cutting it down into the final product which you now have, how long did it take?
Well, I think the editing of this was the big surprise in a way, because it was the first time I'd made such a long film. And 39 hours of footage is an awful lot. And of course, as I started to edit about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I think my first cut was about 2.5 hours long. And I played it to my colleagues, and they just thought, no, I can't watch it, can't watch it. It needed to be shaped into some sort of story, or some form of narrative. And that took hours, and it was fine-tuning and cutting. And then we did a certain amount of, well, we're going to leave that out, we're going to have less on this character, more on this character. We find this an interesting theme, so let's keep this in. This point doesn't seem to be very significant. Or maybe there was something that happened at the start of filming that really has no bearing on what follows later. So yeah, as a filmmaker, I love that process. I love the process of just sitting here, looking at the footage and trying to work out what to do with it.
How close did you personally sort of become to the project? Was it difficult to sort of keep your distance from their lives?
Well, I think this is very interesting, and I think this is something that affects probably all documentary filmmakers, or indeed it can affect journalists, can't it? Because you start off being totally independent because you've just met this family and you're being invited in, and you have your own questions and you have your own thoughts, but they're independent thoughts. And of course I was also meeting people who were violently opposed to this restaurant being set up and developing relationships with them as well. But then, of course, when you get close to somebody over a period of 6 months and you see them achieving things, you can't help but kind of warm to them. And so you do have to keep that sort of distance from them as well, so that you have the position of making an independent film.
Louis and the Restaurant premieres on Friday, 8 p.m. at the Film Place.